Oh my god, dude, the internet is freaking out right now. All the gamers out there are triggered as hell about what Joe Rogan said about gaming. And I understand that, I would be as well if I was a gamer. Joe Rogan went hard at it. He was out there claiming that all gamers are even if you just thought about creating a Steam account, you instantly will die a virgin. And of course, video games cause violence and Joe Rogan is going to put an end to this. So naturally, he took his shotgun and went outside and now he's on the hunt. Like he's having a manic episode, he's out there hunting, murdering gamers. Oh my god, dude, no, of course he's not. But apparently, according to the internet, Joe Rogan hates gamers. It's like the thing right now everybody's talking about, everybody gets mad about, oh, Joe Rogan hates gamers. Have you guys heard what Joe Rogan said about gaming? Joe Rogan hates gaming. And of course, the internet being the internet, they absolutely overreact about everything. Pretending like Joe Rogan is one of those Facebook moms that blames school shootings on gaming. So I went out there and looked at the clip from the Joe Rogan's Experience podcast, just to figure out why all the gamers out there are so triggered about what he apparently said. And well, guess what? It's all bullshit. And naturally, I decided to give you my opinion on this whole thing that he said. So let's have a look at it, shall we?
And if their parents are living a bullshit life and their neighbors are living a bullshit life and most of their family lives a bullshit life, they just lay around, you know, and then they seek refuge in drugs or video games or something that stimulates them. And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem.
I'm going to play the rest of this because just this part alone I've just shown you is probably great proof that it's super easy to take something out of context. For example, if you've just seen the part that I've just shown you, yeah, you could easily say like, oh, Joe Rogan compared playing video games to drugs? He says that video games are just for some lowlife who can't figure out his life because he was born in a broken family? No, of course it's not like that. Of course he has some sort of point here, because yes, if you don't have idols, if you don't have any motivation, nobody to look up to, nothing to work for, well, of course your life will be miserable and you just spend your days procrastinating and doing nothing but living a bullshit life, as he calls it. But of course that is not his entire point about video games. Let's continue.
They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fucking fun.
Addictive.
And you don't, yeah, well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Whoa, wait a minute. Where is all this offense coming from? Joe Rogan basically outed himself here as a fellow gamer. No, okay, but the point he just made it, yeah, they might be addictive, but the problem initially with video games is that they're not giving you anything. And at this point I highly have to disagree with you. Yes, you're basically just killing time, procrastinating, but isn't that the point of video games? They are not there to give you any benefits, well, at least not initially. We'll get to the latter part in just a moment. Of course, video games are just there to entertain you. And I mean, yes, for Joe Rogan that might be a waste of time, because he's an absolute animal. He's pumping out their content, working, everything he does is pretty much just there to make money. So I understand why he would see video gaming as a waste of time, as it's not really benefiting him. But he has to be aware of the fact that not everybody's a workaholic like himself. I mean, if everybody was, nobody would listen to his podcast. It's not like there's a crazy mega benefit from listening to his podcast aside from entertainment. And of course you can make the claim that yes, video games indeed give you some benefits, like helping out your hand-eye coordination or improving some cognitive functions. But well, that is probably not the point he was talking about. I think really he was just talking about money, about a career standpoint. Let's listen to how he's carrying out his argument now.
Right.
It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jiu-jitsu. You get obsessed by jiu-jitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jiu-jitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well. Right. You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit. I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jiu-jitsu school and your jiu-jitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes and he's got a nice family and like, that's the future. This way you're doing something exciting and fun and you don't, or you could just be playing video games.
I'm not a big fan of this argument. It initially seems somewhat grounded, but is having such high double standards. Like, his biggest point is, for example, if you do something else that you can make a career out of, like martial arts. Yeah, if you go balls deep and revolve your entire life around that, you can make a living. But realistically speaking, who is doing martial arts to open up a martial arts school? Probably a extreme minority, isn't it? But if you apply that same logic that he just took about martial arts to video games, it also works. Yeah, if you are obsessed with video games, if you go balls deep into video games, you can also make money out of that. Like, say, go to esports tournaments, or upload to YouTube, or stream to Twitch. I mean, of course, the way he phrased it, video games don't make sense. But if you apply the same logic to martial arts is also not making sense. Because you might just be doing martial arts for the fun aspect. If you apply his logic to both sides equally, to games and martial arts, pick one topic that you like. If you create a goal to make an income of that, yeah, you get good, you work, you grind, and eventually you are there. You either are somewhat successful that you make money, being a martial arts teacher, or for example a Twitch streamer. Yet on the other hand, if you do any of those things just casual, just for fun, of course it will not get you anywhere but entertain you. So this is kinda where his logic is falling off.
3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
You have children. I have children, and it's a big battle in the house. Yes. And my kids, I don't know if you're going through this, but my kids are now saying, "Well, Dad, this guy made all this money with this video game. That's
real too. That's
right?
real too now.
So like, that's 1 in a billion, kid." Like,
I don't know if it's 1 in a billion, but look, I heard the same argument about comedy. My own parents were like, "Do you know how few people make it as a comedian?" I was like, "Okay, does anybody make it?"
It's funny how he makes a somewhat decent point. He's still not seeing the connection he might make with gaming. Of course, if you make the argument, hey, Ninja is worth millions of dollars, of course he's just 1 in a billion. But to bring that back to your argument, how many karate or jiu-jitsu artists do you know that make millions? Yes, of course, the people who start learning jiu-jitsu and end up being a master to have a massive income are pretty low. Compared to that, the people who start off streaming and then eventually are at the point where they make a decent income and have a good living is probably not that small after all. You can think about it from this standpoint. Are there more full-time streamers that make a living, or are there more full-time martial arts trainers that make a good living? Yes, of course there are millions of martial arts trainers, but on the other hand there are also millions of streamers that do this full-time. And not only streamers, esports gamers, YouTubers. You see that if you put his arguments in a one-to-one comparison, hey, are really falling off and don't really make sense. And I think the major point that he was missing is that he compared something that is done casually, like playing video games, with something that is done with the intent to make it a profession, a career, like his example, martial arts. If you really compared one to one, it's an entire different story. Now let's bring this entire logic back to Joe Rogan himself. Yes, he's a powerhouse, he's working non-stop pretty much, always grinding, always hustling. And he feels like if video games are a waste of his time, because he's not making any income from that. Yes, of course, he's only doing that casually, but let's say he would do that professional. How do you think it would blow up if Joe Rogan went out there and did a live stream about Minecraft or stuff like that? Yeah, he would still make a stupid amount of money from that. I mean, of course he would. He already has the audience. He already has built the basis. Now making a profession out of gaming would be super easy for him. But he only sees the casual aspect, and I can tell you why. Imagine him with his workaholic schedule, he would also include a couple hours of stream every day. I think that even for a powerhouse like him, at some point it would be just too much. He eventually will just be overworked, because at that point it's also part of his job to live stream. It's not just to wind down and to have fun anymore. But this is a point where his entire logic fails, because yes, he would make money from that, but he would be constantly overworked. What he could do instead of that is ditch the live streaming everything entirely and just play the video games for fun to wind down after his massive schedule. But wait a minute, aren't we just back at the beginning where we started? Yes, we pretty much are. Games just for entertainment, to wind down after work. And that's pretty much it, that's where we come full circle. And at that point I'm just so confused to why everybody is so buttered about his argument. Yes, it's not a very good argument, but it's not like he's anti-gaming or something. He himself said that he had a lot of fun playing games. And no, he is not seeing the benefits of gaming because he's not a big fan of procrastination and just wasting time. But if you on the other hand feel like it's not wasted time if you get entertained by video games, hey, that's fair game, that's cool as well. At this point you probably should just agree to disagree with Joe Rogan. When it comes to me personally, since I started YouTube I'm barely gaming, even though I always have gameplay in the background. I barely have the time with a working university and YouTube to game that much. I just went down from a few hours of gaming a day to like 10-15 minutes, so I have something to run in the background. But still I enjoy the hell out of those 10-15 minutes. Alright my guys, you have more content linked on screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.